Good morning or afternoon whenever you watch this. This is a how-to video for how to set up and use the grinder uh, with the cutoff disc. This is not a disc that we have used before. It is one that we went over at the beginning of what it is, and just a reminder, the grinder cutoff disc is extremely skinny. Uh, the grinder disc that we use frequently is a thick disc, and you're able to push on it. If you push on a cutoff wheel, like in a grinding motion, it's just going to snap and go flying. This parts of this will cut into you, stick into you, do lots of damage to everybody around you. So these are probably most dangerous disc that you're going to use because they're so brittle and they're so thin, and so they're going to break easier. So do not use one that appears to be damaged. So if you have a grinder over there that has a grinder disc on it and you need a cutoff disc on it, this is a quick review. So you're going to pick up your grinder or take it off the hanger system we got over there. Walk over to the welding cabinet, the very bottom of the welding cabinet. There's all the grinder discs. There's the sanding flapjack disc, there's the cutoff disc, there's the regular grinding disc, there's some other random stuff in there. So you're going to take the grinder over to that cabinet. Hanging on the cabinet is this wrench. This wrench is attached to a wire. It stays on the door, so we always know where it's at, and it's with all of the grinding discs, so that's a good location for it. You're going to push the button in on the bottom. Okay, every grinder that we have has a button that locks it into place. This is not a brake. This is a locking button. Put it up against your body to where the handle and the body of this is up against you, and spin that off. Take the disc off, whatever disc is on it, and then put another disc on. If there's a wire wheel on it, on your grinder, don't mess with those. Those are missing some other pieces of attachment here. Don't take those apart. Just leave those alone. Just switch the disc that, the flapjack, the sandpaper disc, the cutoff disc, and the regular grinding disc. Don't change any other ones. For the grinding disc, this is going to sit down onto this. This is a washer. This must stay on here. This is not going to work without this washer. Please don't take it off. So this sits down onto it, and it sits down into it like it's a formed fit. Your locking nut, this is what you just took off, it has this extruded part on the top. On this side, it does not. Make sure that extruded part is facing away from your disc. It will not allow you to tighten this down if it's up against it. Tighten this just by hand. Let go of your button and then spin it. Look at it this direction and spin it. Make sure that it's not wobbly. You can check to make sure that it's not wobbly. And then once you know that it's not wobbly, you don't have to kill it because it is going to self-tighten. Put it up against you again, holding the brake, and pull back towards you. That should tighten it. Now you got your cutoff disc all set up or replaced. If it's too small to use, then you have to replace it. Over here, this is going to be the only safe place really to set up for doing any cutoff. When you're cutting through anything, which we're cutting through aluminum for this project, you're going to clamp, use the vice grips to clamp down your piece of aluminum. You have your mark on the top of it that you will be following. You will plug in to the outlet that is over here behind the welder. There's outlets in every single of these welding booths. So you got that plugged in. You're going to make sure that you are holding this and you are facing away from the disc. Don't hold it to where the disc is going. If it breaks, it's going to shatter and get you. Hold it to where it is away from you, and you're going to hold it in this motion. You want the guard to be protecting your hands. So right here, the guard is protecting my hands. I'm going to hold it up like this, and I'm going to start on one side, and I'm going to drag it backwards. So some of the pieces that you might be cutting are pretty big. So you're going to start on, really it doesn't matter what side you start on, but it needs to be the side that you are dragging it backwards towards, or like dragging it backwards like that. So you have two hands on it. You do not want very much disc in the metal. So you can cut it, you can actually position it to where you have a lot of disc sticking through the metal, and then you drag it back like that. Don't do that. That's not a good idea, because if you move a little bit, the metal has a lot more opportunity to grab a hold of your disc, snap it, and send it shattering and going everywhere. What you want to do is use your guard here as kind of like a guide. So I can see here, and you can see on the camera, that I can use that as a pivot point, and I can drop it to where I'm just barely through the metal, and then I'm going to cut, and I'm going to bring it backwards. So I start on one edge of it, and I just bring it all the way back. You can only make straight cuts with this. Don't try to turn, don't try to curve. If your cut starts going crooked, like to the left or to the right, you can stop and pull it up, and close by that, start a new plunge cut. So a plunge cut is simply, I have it on, I'm on the pivoting on the guard, and then I slowly just drop it into place as it's cutting, and then I can go again. So if you didn't aim correctly, or just you're off just because it takes some getting used to, go so far and then just stop, pick it up, reset yourself, go close to where you're at, and then just let it plunge back down into it, and then go back. You only want just enough disc in it to barely go through the metal. That is the extent of what you want to do there. When you're all done, make sure that your metal goes back into the outside pile or into scrap if it's not worth keeping. If it's worth keeping, do not put it in scrap, please. Metal is very expensive, and it's time consuming to drive all the way to Sullivan to go get it from the business partners that are supporting us. The grinders, they go back up in the grinder holder if that's where you got it from, or if it was just sitting out, it needs to go back up in the grinder holder. All the tools need to be put away at the end of every hour. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns about using a grinder with a cutoff wheel.